Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you pitch me your predictions for the theme park world, and I either buy or sell them and explain why. If you want your idea considered for the next video, leave a comment below starting with buy or sell. In this episode, we look at the possibility of more Universal parks in Orlando, if Six Flags Over Georgia is set up to be a big-time player in the new chain, and what we can expect from the Palace parks now that Herschend is in control. This is Buy or Sell, episode 40. First, I want to thank my Patreons and my new member, Freddie Morgan. If you want bonus access, bonus content, behind the scenes videos, a shout out when you join, and your name on this fancy Patreon screen, follow the link below and join. Let's start with Dollar Store. Triple Loop at Indiana Beach gets removed in a few years. This Schwarzkopf Looper is no stranger to being on the move. It's had stints for 3 years, 6 years, 13 years, and here it is, entering year 2 at Indiana Beach. Since it got relocated, it took 3 years to build, had a rough start, literally. It started off with over-the-shoulder restraints and everyone hated it, and apparently the park was listening because they took them off before the season was even over. At a small park like this, you gotta think unless the coaster has a major maintenance issue, it's here to stay. I'm selling this. Yes, it had short stints at Sunwind Lagoon and Flamingo Land, but it was a permanent fixture at La Feria in Mexico. The only reason it got removed was because of the accident. The size and scale of Indiana Beach is in line with La Feria, so unless its maintenance starts draining the park of its money, or unless Gene Staples wants to add another one of his parks, I'd say it's safe here for at least 10 years. Over Texas Fan. The B&M family invert will become a clone in the SeaWorld parks. Every once in a while, you see certain chains get super into clones. Obviously, you had Six Flags and the Batman inverts, and then later they put a free spin in about half their parks. SeaWorld was very much into the Skyrocket 2, and now we are seeing a new trend unfold, the B&M family invert. It started with Phoenix Rising at Busch Gardens Tampa, continues this year with Big Bad Wolf at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and I have no reason to believe this trend will stop. I'm buying this. I don't see this at SeaWorld Orlando, but I definitely see it at the San Diego park. They have a height limit. It wouldn't be hard for them to get approval. They don't have anything under the track. This would be a perfect addition to their family-friendly collection. Same with San Antonio. They could play off Great White, this being Mini White or something like a smaller shark, and that park could definitely use another intermediate coaster. That's not even to mention the Sesame Place parks. These B&M family inverts would fit in awesome at either one of those two. Troopa 9000. Batwing at Six Flags America closes after the 2025 season. There are a lot of different angles of this issue. Yes, Six Flags has chosen violence when it comes to their old and maintenance-heavy rides. That includes Nighthawk at Carowinds, and you know Batwing isn't easy to maintain. But then you consider that Nighthawk just became a major parts donor, and Batwing is at a park that doesn't seem to be in line for a lot of great investment, so I'm selling this. Batwing isn't going to last forever, but I think Six Flags is going to hang on to this as long as they possibly can. They don't want to remove a major coaster and be put in a spot to replace it. They've been riding the same set of coasters for over a decade. Batwing is actually the last ground-up coaster they received. That doesn't even seem possible, and I think they're going to want to keep rolling with what they have. Eventually, it'll exhaust Nighthawk's spare parts, and at that point it's probably done, but it won't be at the end of the 2025 season. Seabass Laura. If Epic Universe is successful, over the next 10 years, Universal will open a new park in Orlando. Epic Universe is the first park in Orlando since 1999, Islands of Adventure being put right next to the original park. And obviously, the company had the idea of adding a third gate and choosing to put it farther away from their main properties, kinda like Disney did. Those parks aren't exactly next to each other, but they make it work. Universal is expanding a lot as of late. Not just Epic Universe, but also planning parks in Texas and the UK, and I'm buying them building another park in Florida. 10 years is probably too soon for another park to open. We did see a 9-year turnaround between Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom, but more likely, they give Epic Universe 5 or 6 years, see how successful it is, and then start planning the next one. Onion 742. Kings Island won't get a new thrill coaster by 2030. Ever since Orion opened, we've been talking about Kings Island's next big project, especially because they have that big empty plot of land where Vortex used to be. They seem to be on a solid 3 to 5 year plan to get major new coasters, and it seemed like they might be in line for something big in 2024, but instead they got a family boomerang. Conditions change, of course. Since Orion was announced, we had the pandemic, the merger, the economy has been in flux. There has been a push for family coasters across America, so that predictable schedule is really out the window. We know they're getting a family thrill attraction in 2026, so 2027 is the earliest we'll see a new thrill coaster. Still, I'm selling them going all the way to 2030. Even if they add another family coaster in the meantime, I still think they'll fill in that Vortex plot of land with something awesome in the next 5 years. Thrills have a beard. Herschend won't install coasters in the Palace chain for 5 years. On March 18th, we got word that Herschend was acquiring Palace Entertainment. Huge news, but not entirely unexpected. Palace was under Parques Reunidos, and they've been looking to sell Palace Entertainment for a while now. And with this deal, Hershen nearly triples their theme park portfolio. This deal also includes hotels, water parks, family entertainment centers, but I'm focusing on theme parks here, and Hershen went from 4 parks to 11 parks, the same number Cedar Fair had before the merger. This makes them the number 2 regional theme park operator in America, obviously behind Six Flags and their 26 parks. Even though the number of parks matches the old Cedar Fair number, a lot of these parks are very small. You have your monsters, Dollywood, Silver Dollar City. Those are 2 of the most high-profile parks in the country. And the 2 biggest parks in the Palace deal are Kennywood and Adventureland. These aren't huge parks, but they are very legit coaster destinations. They also already had Kentucky Kingdom and Wild Adventures, and they have a nice collection of coasters. Lake Compounce is small but has 4 thrill coasters, and everything else is definitely on the small side and catered towards families. Castle Park in California, Idlewild and Dutch Wonderland in Pennsylvania, and Storyland in New Hampshire. I wouldn't expect these family parks to get a new coaster anytime soon. I'd be surprised if Lake Compounce got something in 5 years. Kennywood is fixing up Steel Curtain right now. Assuming adding all those new supports is successful, I think they'd ride this for a long time. They went 9 years between Skyrocket and Steel Curtain. I can see them almost treating Steel Curtain like a new coaster, even though it's 6 years old now, and they won't get anything unless they have to tear the coaster down and replace it. So that leaves Adventureland, and because of this, I'm selling the 5-year coaster probation from Hershen. This park was growing before Palace bought it in 2021. Palace even brought in Flying Viking in 2023, and now that it's a Hershen park, the biggest park in Iowa, right in the heart of the state, near Des Moines. Lost Island not too far away, getting better and threatening their customer base. I think they do get a new coaster for Adventureland by 2030. It sounds kinda crazy to add no coasters to any of these 7 parks over a 5-year span. But when you consider the makeup of these parks, you're really looking at the possibility of 2, maybe 2.5 parks including Lake Compounce. As for the acquisition itself, Hershen has a good reputation. They seem to know what they're doing, and everyone who had a Palace park as their home park, especially Kennywood, they seem to be thrilled by this, and I don't blame them. I think this won't make the parks worse. Honestly, worst case scenario, it'll be a lateral move, and most likely will make them better. Randy Head, one of Six Flags rivals, will buy out one of their smaller parks in the next 5 years. Six Flags has said they want to pare down the chain, so I imagine some of the parks they own and not operate will be leaving in the next 2 years. Some of these parks may go back to being independent, and they might bring in an operator like Premier Parks to run the place, but others may spark the interest of SeaWorld, or, as we were just talking about, America's great new super chain, Hershen. I'm buying one of those parks ending up in either camp. If it's SeaWorld, you gotta look at Discovery Kingdom as the most logical choice. For Hershen, with all those small northeastern parks in the chain, they might be interested in a park like Great Escape. Those are just the ones that stand out. Anything Six Flags decides to offload will be of interest, no matter where it is or how big it is. And we know those parks are going to be up for grabs, so I like my chances for buying this. J Toki 12. Magic Mountain will keep the record for most coasters for at least the next 5 years. Magic Mountain is going to open their 21st coaster in 2026, but all signs point to Superman being done for, so let's just say they got 20. Energylandia is right behind them at 19, and we got a tie for 18, Cedar Point and Canada's Wonderland. 3 of these parks are in the Six Flags chain, and we know how they like to axe coasters. I mean, Canada's Wonderland only had 1 defunct coaster in the first 43 years, and they just put an end to their second one, Time Warp, just in time for Alpenfury to open. Cedar Point is getting a new coaster in 2025 also, Siren's Curse, and it might take a while for them to get another one, not to mention 5 or 6 coasters that might be on the chopping block. Energylandia is kind of a wild card. They've slowed down a lot, selling their tilt coaster before it even got built, and their 2 new for 2024 coasters are holdovers from a couple years back. They are the most likely challenger to Magic Mountain's record, but even then, I don't think they're going to take it. I'm buying Magic Mountain keeping the record for at least 5 more years. The one wild card is, again, it's part of the Six Flags chain, and they could lose the record not because other parks add coasters, but because they lose coasters. Maybe they close Ninja and Viper in the next 5 years, and right there, Energylandia is your new king by default. B&M fan, Alpenfury doesn't open until late summer 2025. When I did my predictions for 2025, I said the coaster that might open super late is Alpenfury. I wasn't confident in this, just looking at the cold Canadian winters, the problems that might come from building a multi-launch coaster. It seemed like a good pick, and as of late March, the track isn't done yet. It's close, but it's not done at the time of this recording. Once that gets done and they get it all tested, will this end up opening after July 15th? I'm selling that. This project has definitely gone slower than the others in the park's history. Yukon Striker, Leviathan, Behemoth. They all open with the park the first week of May. It seems like it would take a huge effort to get this open for opening day, but do I think this stretches into June? Yeah, that's possible, but do I think it goes all the way to July? No, I don't think so. The only reason for this would be if there's a mechanical issue during testing. That's very possible, but Premier Rides has been good with these reliable LSM coasters, so I have faith in them. Right Op J. Disney will add a water park to the California resort by 2035. This might sound kinda crazy, but it is something both Disney and Universal pulled off in Florida. You have Blizzard Beach, you have Volcano Bay, but neither chain has made this a reality in California. Space is obviously a major issue in California. Walt Disney said he regretted not buying more land when he was able to, so they got locked in. And when it comes to Universal, that whole area is built up, so not much you can do. If Disney wanted to do this, they could use the parking lot on the southwest side of the property. Maybe try and consolidate parking with another structure. But this is really a long shot, so I'm selling this. I'm not sure how popular these water parks are. If people wanted to pay a lot of money to get into a fancy water park when there are cheaper options around. So, do they really see the value in building a whole new water park with a separate gate? I'm gonna say no. They did open a little water park in their Pixar Place Hotel 2 years ago, so that may be all you get. John. Desperado never reopens and is scrapped. Desperado shut down in the fall of 2019, and then, of course, COVID hit, and that made things so much worse. The whole resort shut down for a while. It came back, but it seems to be having problems. Right now, it's gone to weekend-only operation. It just seems like the whole resort is dying, and getting the coaster operational and open seems to be very low priority, so I'm buying it never reopening. Over the years, people have called to ask what's going on with it, and they've heard they intend on getting it back open. But it's been over 5 years now. It didn't reopen with the resort. They're doing their best to stay on their feet. I don't know what it would take effort-wise and money-wise to get this back in business, but I think the most likely option here is the ride sits there forever and nothing happens to it. They probably don't even want to spend the money to take it out. So it'll just sit there, mocking everyone coming across the California border. A sad fate for one of the world's tallest and longest coasters. Katie Olson. American Eagle at Six Flags Great America will race again to celebrate its new ACE landmark status. Great America keeps doing work on American Eagle, keeping this alive for a lot longer than I thought they could. But when it comes to racing both sides this coming season to celebrate its newfound ACE landmark status, I don't think it's in the cards. I'm selling this. I want to thank Mike Galvin for this one. I bounced some ideas off him for this question, and when you consider the ride's popularity being so far off the beaten path, and the staffing it would take to run both sides when one side doesn't usually have a big line, it's hard to justify that. Maybe they do this for the park's 50th anniversary in 2026, just as a special nod to the park's history, but it doesn't seem like a smart choice to do this on the regular. Coffee Table 240. With the recent increase in investment, Six Flags Over Georgia will be a top-tier park in the chain. One of the most interesting aspects of the merger is who's going to be the new winners and new losers. Six Flags Over Texas seems to be in line to be a big winner, and so far it seems like Over Georgia may be in the same camp. I'm buying this. Since the merger, Georgia Surfer was repainted and rethemed to Georgia Gold Rusher. They didn't have to spend the money and make the effort to make this look better and fit in its area of the park, but they did, and that's a good sign. Georgia Scorcher is also getting its train rebuilt. They're getting new stores, new dining facilities. The new restaurants will have a crew service to make the lines go faster. All this bodes well for how the chain sees the potential in this park. And after all, why not? It's the biggest attraction in one of America's biggest cities, Atlanta. And I always thought the park had a great coaster collection. It just seemed to be poorly run. If they brought in management that could make the park more like Kings Island, the place would be in great shape. I would be very optimistic if my home park was Over Georgia, as long as they can get these investments to line up with good management and make everything work like it should. That's a wrap on episode 40. Let me know what you think about any of these topics, if you agree or disagree, and why. Also, don't forget, if you want your idea considered for the next video, leave it in the comments below, starting with buy or sell. Before you go, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coasters, please give me a sub. I have a playlist with all the buy or sell episodes. Also, check out my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.